Captain Lee Taman stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the stars through the big window. The Harmony's edge was far from Earth, exploring new worlds near the colony called New Busan. It was a quiet day until the alarm started screaming. "Captain," shouted his officer, "we have ships coming toward us." "Big ships." Taman looked at the screen and felt his heart stop. Massive black ships were moving through space toward them. These ships were 10 times bigger than anything humans had ever built. They looked like giant metal insects with sharp edges and glowing red lights. "Send a message to Earth," Taman said quickly. "Tell them we found something." Dr. Park So-jin ran onto the bridge. She was the ship's scientist who studied life on other planets. Her face was excited but scared. "Are those really alien ships?" she asked. "Yes," Taman said. "Get ready to meet them." The alien ship stopped near the human vessel. They were so big that they blocked out the stars. Then a voice came through their radio. It sounded like metal scraping against metal. "Small creatures in the tiny ship," the voice said. "We are the Veltar Dominion. You will come aboard our ship now." Taman looked at his crew. Ambassador Kim Do-hyun stepped forward. He was the man who was supposed to talk to aliens if they ever found any. "Captain, let me handle this," he said. "We accept your invitation," Do-hyun said into the radio. "We come in peace." The alien voice made a sound like laughing. "Peace, yes, you are weak creatures. You need our protection." A bright light surrounded the human ship. Taman felt his stomach turn as they were pulled inside the alien vessel. The inside was huge and dark. Strange smells filled the air. 3 humans walked out of their ship. Taman, So-jin, and Do-hyun wore their best uniforms. They carried small devices that would translate languages. The aliens were waiting for them. Taman tried not to show his fear when he saw them. The Veltar were tall, much taller than humans. They had hard shells covering their bodies like giant insects. Their faces had 4 eyes that moved independently. Sharp claws clicked on the metal floor as they walked. The biggest alien stepped forward. "I am War Commander Jektal," it said. "You are the leaders of your species?" "We represent humanity," Do-hyun said carefully. "We are explorers from Earth." Jektal's 4 eyes looked at the humans from head to toe. "Curious," he said. "You have soft skin, no claws. No natural weapons, no armor. How did creatures like you learn to travel between stars?" So-jin spoke up. "We use our minds to solve problems. We work together." "Minds," Jektal repeated. "Yes, prey animals sometimes develop intelligence to survive. Like the Karathi we protect in the 7th sector. They were clever too before we saved them from extinction." The humans looked at each other. "Saved them?" Taman asked. "Of course," Jektal said. "Weak species cannot survive alone in this galaxy. There are many predators. They would hunt you and eat you. But the Veltar Dominion protects all prey species. We keep you safe." Do-hyun felt a chill run down his spine. "That is very kind of you," he said slowly. Jektal made that scraping laugh sound again. "Kind? No, it is natural law. The strong protect the weak. The hunters protect the prey. You humans are clearly prey animals. Look at you, small, soft, no weapons. But you built ships. This makes you valuable prey." "Valuable?" So-jin asked. "Yes, most prey species we find are stupid. They can barely make fire. But you made ships that travel between stars. Your minds are useful. We will take good care of you." Jektal turned and walked to a large screen on the wall. It showed images of space around Earth and the human colonies. "We have been watching your species for some time. You have 23 worlds now. Very impressive for prey animals." Taman felt angry but kept his voice calm. "We have built those colonies through hard work." Yes, Jektal said, waving a clawed hand. "Prey animals can be very industrious. Like the Bektar, they built beautiful cities before the Ravagers found them. We moved the survivors to safe worlds just in time." "What happened to their cities?" So-jin asked. "Destroyed, of course. Cities attract predators. Much safer to keep prey species in controlled environments where we can watch over them." The 3 humans exchanged glances. Do-hyun stepped forward. "War Commander, we appreciate your concern for our safety. But humans have managed to survive on our own for many years." Jektal's eyes focused on Do-hyun. "Survived? You call hiding on one small planet surviving? Do you know what lurks in the dark spaces between stars? The Void Hunters? The Flesh Renders? They would consume your entire species in days." "We have never encountered such creatures," Taman said, "because they have not found you yet. But they will. They always do. That is why the Veltar Dominion exists. We find prey species before the real predators do. We move them to safe places. We protect them. So Jin looked around the alien ship. Everything was designed for war. Sharp edges, weapon ports, armor plating. You seem very well armed for protectors, she said. Of course. How else would we fight off the true predators? Your soft human minds cannot imagine the horrors that exist in this galaxy. Be grateful that we found you first. Jektal touched a control panel. The screen showed human ships near Earth. Your military vessels are interesting. They look dangerous, but we have scanned them. Weak weapons. Thin armor. They would not last minutes against real predators. We prefer peaceful exploration, Do-hyun said. Wise. Violence is not for prey species. Leave that to us. We will establish protection zones around all your worlds. Our ships will patrol your space. Nothing will harm you. And what do you want in return? Taemin asked. Jektal looked confused. We want nothing. It is our duty to protect prey species. Though your technology is interesting, we may study it. Learn how prey animals developed space travel. It could be useful. The war commander gestured toward the exit. You may return to your ship now. Inform your leaders that humanity is now under Veltar protection. We will move your populations to safer worlds soon. Do not resist. Resistance only leads to injury. As the humans walked back to their ship, Sojin whispered, They think we're animals. Useful animals. Do-hyun whispered back. That might keep us alive long enough to figure out what to do. Taemin said nothing until they were back on their own bridge. Then he turned to his crew. Record everything. Send it all to Earth on the fastest ship we have, and tell them to be very, very careful about how they respond. Outside, the Veltar ships began moving toward human space. Jektal was already planning how to relocate 20 billion humans to proper containment worlds. It would be a big job, but prey species always adapted quickly to captivity. They had no choice. 3 months had passed since the Veltar arrived in human space. Colonel Choi Min-ho stood in the underground command center on Mars, watching reports come in from across human territory. The aliens had kept their word about protection, but it was not the kind of protection humanity wanted. They moved another 1 million people from Kepler 442b yesterday, reported his aide. That makes 15 colonies they have relocated so far. Min-ho clenched his fists. The Veltar called it relocation, but humans called it something else. They would arrive at a human world with massive transport ships and simply announce that the planet was too dangerous. Then they would load every human onto the ships and take them to what they called safe worlds. These safe worlds were more like prisons. Humans were given food, shelter, and basic needs, but they could not leave. The Veltar explained that the outside was too dangerous for prey species to explore alone. Any word from the resistance cells? Min-ho asked. Dr. Yu Hye-jin sent a message from the Procyon system. She says she has figured out how their technology works. Min-ho smiled for the first time in weeks. Hye-jin was brilliant. If anyone could find a weakness in Veltar technology, it would be her. On a hidden base in the asteroid belt, Hye-jin was working with a team of the best human engineers. They had been studying pieces of Veltar equipment that the aliens had left behind. Look at this, she said to her team, pointing at a circuit board. Their technology is incredible, but it follows very simple patterns. They think in straight lines. Everything has a hierarchy. Master circuits control slave circuits. No backup systems. No redundancy. Her assistant looked confused. What does that mean? It means they have never fought an enemy that thinks differently than they do. All their enemies probably attack directly with brute force. They have never faced an enemy that uses tricks. Meanwhile, Dr. Kang Woo-sung was studying the Veltar themselves from his research station on Europa. He had been watching their behavior patterns for months, and what he discovered worried him. They really do think we are animals, he told his colleague over a secure channel. I have watched them interact with humans on the relocated worlds. They pet our children like we would pet dogs. They give us treats when we follow orders. They punish us by taking away privileges when we disobey. But they do not hurt us? The colleague asked. No, they do not hurt us. That is what makes this so scary. They genuinely believe they are taking care of us. A farmer does not torture his cattle. He keeps them safe and well-fed because they are valuable. Woo-sung had made another disturbing discovery. The Veltar had detailed records of 43 other species they had protected over the past 1,000 years. These species had built cities, developed technology, and traveled between stars just like humans. Now most of those species were extinct. A few survived in small numbers on Veltar preservation worlds, but they had forgotten how to build ships or make tools. They had become completely dependent on their protectors. It is not cruelty, Wu Sung explained to the underground resistance leaders. It is domestication. They are turning intelligent species into pets. Back in the hidden command center, Colonel Minho received an encrypted message from Captain Shin Aira. She was leading a special forces team that had infiltrated the Veltar facility. The aliens are planning something big, her message said. I found records of what they call the final relocation phase. They want to move all humans to 12 specific worlds that they can easily control. Timeline: 6 months from now. Minho forwarded the message to President Nam Jun-sik, who was hiding in a bunker deep under the Rocky Mountains. The president had been coordinating humanity's secret response to the Veltar occupation. How many ships do we have that they do not know about? The president asked during a secure video call. 200 combat vessels, Minho replied. They are hidden in places the Veltar never scan. Old mining facilities, dead asteroids, gas giant storms. And our people on the relocated worlds? Ambassador Kim Do-hyun has been organizing them. They are ready to fight when we give the signal. The president looked tired. Fighting will not be enough. These aliens have ships that could destroy our entire fleet in minutes. We need a different approach. That different approach was being developed by a team led by Dr. Seo Yoon-ji. She was a psychologist who specialized in how the mind works. Her team had been studying Veltar communication patterns and behavior. They have weaknesses, she reported to the resistance leadership. Their society is very rigid. Every Veltar knows exactly where they fit in the hierarchy. They follow orders without question. They never improvise or adapt quickly to new situations. How does that help us? Asked General Lim Kyung-soo. We can use psychological warfare against them. Confusion tactics. Make them doubt their chain of command. Feed them false information that makes them fight each other instead of us. Yoon-ji had discovered something else important. The Veltar had never encountered a species that used deception as a primary survival strategy. All the other species they had conquered were direct fighters or pure pacifists. Humans are different, she explained. We evolved as persistence hunters and social predators. We use teamwork, planning, and trickery to overcome stronger enemies. The Veltar have no defense against this because they have never seen it before. On the Veltar command ship, War Commander Jektal was reviewing reports from the occupation. Everything was going according to plan. The humans were cooperating with relocation orders. Their military had not attempted any attacks. They seemed to understand that resistance was futile. The prey species are adapting well to protection, he reported to the Dominion Council. Some individuals show signs of depression when separated from their original nesting sites, but this is normal. All species go through this adjustment period. His second-in-command approached. War Commander, we have detected some unusual activity in the outer systems. Energy signatures that do not match known human technology. Jektal looked at the data. Probably other predator species moving into the area. This is why the humans need our protection. Increase patrols in those sectors. The second-in-command hesitated. Sir, what if the humans are hiding technology from us? Some of their vessels disappeared before we could scan them. Impossible, Jektal said firmly. Prey species do not have the mental capacity for complex deception. They may hide from predators, but they do not lie to protectors. It goes against their nature. This was the Veltar's greatest mistake. They believed that intelligence and aggression were separate traits. In their experience, smart species were peaceful and aggressive species were stupid. They had never encountered a species that was both highly intelligent and naturally aggressive. Back on Earth, the pieces of humanity's plan were coming together. Engineer Yu Hye-jin had figured out how to hack Veltar communication systems. Dr. Seo Yoon-ji had developed psychological warfare techniques that would confuse their rigid command structure. Colonel Choi Min-ho had hidden ships and weapons throughout human space. Most importantly, the aliens still believed humans were harmless prey animals. They had no idea that every human smile was hiding teeth, and every act of cooperation was part of a larger trap. President Nam Jun-sik made the final decision during a secret meeting with his advisors. We let them start their final relocation phase. When they think they have won, when their guard is down, we show them what human hunters can really do. Ambassador Kim Do-hyun, who had been working with human populations on the relocated worlds, sent a coded message to resistance cells everywhere. The prey is ready to become the predator. The Veltar had made their fatal error. They thought humans were just another species to be protected and controlled. They had no idea they were about to face the most dangerous predator their galaxy had ever seen, one that had learned to hide its true nature until the perfect moment to strike. The day had finally come. Admiral Hong Sung-min watched from his hidden command ship as massive Veltar transport vessels approached Earth. Today was supposed to be the beginning of the final relocation phase. The aliens planned to move every human on Earth to their controlled world's war commander. Jektal stood on the bridge of his flagship looking down at the blue planet below. "Begin the evacuation procedure," he ordered. "Load the humans onto the transport ships. Start with the major population centers." The Veltar had done this 43 times before with other species. It always went the same way. The prey species would be scared at first, but then they would accept their fate. After a few generations, they would forget they had ever been free. On Earth, General Lim Kyung-soo stood in front of television cameras in what appeared to be a desperate broadcast to the world. "People of Earth," he said, his voice shaking with fake fear, "the aliens are too powerful. We cannot fight them. We must surrender and go with them peacefully." Jektal watched the broadcast and felt satisfaction. This was exactly what always happened. The prey species leaders would tell their people to submit. It made the relocation process much easier. But deep underground, the real human leadership was putting the final touches on their plan. President Nam Jun-sik spoke into a secure communicator. "Operation Trojan Horse is now active. All units, remember, we are not trying to win a fair fight. We are hunting." Dr. Seo Eunji was ready with her psychological warfare team. They had spent months preparing broadcasts that would exploit every weakness in Veltar psychology. "Transmit Confusion Protocol 1, she ordered. Across Veltar communication networks, false orders began appearing. The messages looked official and came from what appeared to be high-ranking commanders. Some orders told ships to change positions. Others commanded fleet movements. A few even suggested that some Veltar units were secretly working with other predator species. On the Veltar flagship, confusion started immediately. "War Commander," his communications officer reported. "We are receiving conflicting orders from the Dominion Council." Jektal looked at the messages. One told him to accelerate the evacuation. Another told him to delay it. A third warned him about human deception tactics. "These orders contradict each other," he said. "Perhaps there is a communication error," the officer suggested. "Check the authentication codes," Jektal ordered. When the check came back, all the orders appeared genuine. This was impossible in Veltar society. The chain of command never contradicted itself. While the aliens were confused by the fake orders, the real attack began. Captain Lee Taemin led a fleet of ships that had been disguised as cargo vessels and civilian transports. The Veltar had scanned these ships months ago and classified them as harmless, but engineer Yu Hyejin had hidden weapons inside fake cargo containers. When the civilian ships got close to the Veltar fleet, the containers opened and revealed missile launchers, plasma cannons, and other weapons the aliens had never seen before. "All ships, fire at will," Taemin ordered. The first volley of human weapons struck the Veltar ships before they could raise their shields. The aliens had been watching for attacks from their flanks and rear, where military enemies normally struck. They had not expected attacks from ships they thought were helpless civilians. Lieutenant Commander Bae Young-ho was operating a weapons platform hidden inside what looked like a space station. His team had been waiting for 6 months pretending to be a mining facility. When the Veltar ships moved into position for the evacuation, they were sitting right in his firing range. "Target their command and control centers," he ordered his gunners. "Make them blind and deaf." Meanwhile, on the relocated worlds, Ambassador Kim Do-hyun was coordinating uprisings. The humans who had been moved to safe worlds were breaking out of their containment areas. But they were not trying to escape. Instead, they were sabotaging Veltar equipment and facilities. Dr. Park So-jin, who had been studying on one of the relocated worlds, led a team that took over a Veltar communication center. "Send this message to all their ships," she told her team. "Make it look like it comes from their war commander." The fake message ordered all Veltar ships to retreat to defensive positions. This pulled them away from Earth just as Captain Shin Aira was leading her special forces teams in attacks on their supply bases. Shin Aira had learned something important about Veltar psychology. during her months of observation. They were pack hunters, but they had never faced a prey species that could become a pack hunter too. When her teams attacked from multiple directions at once, the aliens did not know how to respond. "Hit them fast, then disappear," she told her soldiers. "Make them think we are everywhere at once." Back on the Veltar flagship, chaos was spreading. Jektal could not understand what was happening. His prey species was acting like a predator species. Worse, they were acting like a predator species that was smarter than his own people. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we have lost contact with 12 supply bases. Our transport ships are requesting immediate protection." "The human civilians are fighting back." "Civilians do not fight," Jektal said. "They are prey animals." "Sir, perhaps we were wrong about their nature." Jektal's 4 eyes focused on the officer with anger. "Impossible. Our scans were clear. Soft skin, no natural weapons, weak bone structure. They are obviously prey." But the evidence was becoming impossible to ignore. Major Ryu Dongjin was leading ground forces that moved like nothing the Veltar had ever encountered. Instead of charging directly at their enemies like other species did, the humans used cover, flanking maneuvers, and coordinated team attacks. "They fight like a pack," one Veltar soldier reported, "but they are smarter than any pack we have seen. They seem to predict our movements." Dr. Kang Woo-sung was coordinating psychological operations from a hidden base. His job was to make the Veltar doubt everything they thought they knew about humans. "Send them recordings of human history," he ordered his team. "Show them videos of human wars, human hunting, human competitive sports. Let them see what we really are." When the Veltar command staff saw videos of human soldiers in combat, human hunters tracking prey, and human athletes competing with fierce determination, they began to understand their mistake. "These are not prey behaviors," Jektal's second-in-command said quietly. "These are apex predator behaviors." "But they look so weak," Jektal protested. "Sir, what if their weakness is camouflage? What if they evolved to look harmless while being extremely dangerous?" The concept was alien to Veltar thinking. In their galaxy, dangerous species looked dangerous. They had big teeth, sharp claws, thick armor, or deadly poison. The idea of a predator that looked like prey was beyond their understanding. Admiral Hong Sung-min watched the battle from his command ship and smiled. The Veltar were beginning to panic. Their rigid command structure was falling apart under the pressure of fighting an enemy that did not follow their rules. "Phase 2, he ordered. "Show them what human pack hunters can really do." The second phase of the attack was coordinated across dozens of star systems simultaneously. Every human ship, every hidden weapon, every resistance cell attacked at exactly the same moment. The Veltar found themselves fighting a war on hundreds of fronts against an enemy that seemed to be everywhere at once. But the most devastating weapon was not guns or missiles. It was fear. For the first time in their history, the Veltar were afraid of their prey. "War Commander," his communications officer called out, "we are receiving a transmission from the human leaders." On the screen appeared President Nam Jun-sik, but he looked very different from the broadcasts where humans had appeared weak and helpless. Now he looked calm, confident, and dangerous. "War Commander Jektal," the president said, "my name is Nam Jun-sik. I am the leader of the human species. We need to talk." Jektal stared at the screen. You are prey animals. This behavior is impossible." President Nam Jun-sik smiled, and for the first time, Jektal saw the predator that had been hiding behind the smile all along. "War Commander," the president said, "we are not prey animals. We are the species that hunts other predators, and we have been hunting you since the day we met." Sub-Commander Jektal stood before the Veltar High Council, his head hung low in shame. He had been demoted after losing 12 star systems to the humans in just 2 months. The species they had thought were harmless prey animals had revealed themselves to be something far more dangerous. "Explain to us how prey animals destroyed our fleets," commanded High Commander Vexthai, the supreme leader of the Veltar Dominion. "They are not prey animals," Jektal said quietly. "We were wrong. Completely wrong." "Impossible," another council member hissed. "Our scans were clear. Soft skin, no claws, weak bones. Classic prey species anatomy." Jektal activated a holographic display showing recordings from recent battles. "Watch how they fight. They do not charge at us like other predator species. They appear from nowhere, strike our weakest points, then vanish before we can respond. They coordinate attacks across multiple systems simultaneously. They turn our own technology against us. The Council watched in silence as human ships seemed to materialize from empty space, destroy Veltar installations, and disappear again. They saw human ground forces moving like a single intelligent organism, each soldier knowing exactly what the others would do. They fight like a pack, Shektal continued, but a pack with the intelligence of our best strategists. Every attack is perfectly planned. Every retreat draws us into another trap. High Commander Vexthai leaned forward. What are you saying? I am saying we found the apex predator of this galaxy, and we mistook it for prey because it learned to hide its true nature. Meanwhile, Admiral Hong Sung Min was implementing Operation Pack Hunt from his mobile command center. Human forces were striking across Veltar space using tactics the aliens had never encountered. Target their supply lines, he ordered Colonel Choi Minho. Make them hungry. Hungry predators make mistakes. Choi Minho led rapid response teams that moved through space using captured Veltar transportation technology. The aliens had built a network of jump gates that allowed instant travel between star systems. They had never imagined that their prey animals would learn to use these gates for hit-and-run attacks. Strike Team Alpha, hit the supply depot at Kethvar Prime, Choi Minho commanded. Strike Team Beta, take out the fuel processing station at Zulgorath. All teams, you have 15 minutes before Veltar reinforcements arrive. The human teams appeared in Veltar territory through their own jump gates, destroyed their targets, and vanished before the aliens could respond. By the time Veltar ships arrived at the attack sites, they found only empty space and burning wreckage. Dr. Kang Woo-sung had weaponized human psychology against the Veltar command structure. Working with Communications Officer Park Hae-won, they sent false intelligence reports throughout the Veltar military network. Send this message to the 3rd Fleet, Woo-sung ordered. Make it look like it comes from High Command. Tell them the 7th Fleet has been compromised by human infiltrators. And to the 7th Fleet? Park Hae-won asked. Tell them the 3rd Fleet has been given secret orders to eliminate them if they show signs of disloyalty. The Veltar military began to turn on itself. Their rigid hierarchy, which had been their strength for thousands of years, became their weakness when humans fed it false information. Units that should have been working together started viewing each other with suspicion. Captain Lee Tae-min commanded a fleet of ships that looked like Veltar vessels from the outside. Engineer Yu Hye-jin had designed holographic disguises that fooled even close-range scans. These false Veltar ships would approach alien installations, requesting permission to dock for repairs. Veltar Station Corthanis. This is Battlecruiser Zekthan requesting emergency docking. Taemin would radio in perfect Veltar language. Acknowledged, Zekthan. Proceed to Docking Bay 7. Once inside the station, human soldiers would pour out and capture the facility before the Veltar realized what had happened. The aliens never suspected that prey animals could successfully pretend to be predators. On the former Veltar colony worlds, the other species that had been protected for generations were beginning to remember their freedom. Journalist Kim Mi-young broadcast messages across the galaxy, telling the truth about Veltar protection. They told you they were saving you from predators. Her voice carried to dozens of species across hundreds of worlds. But they were the predators. They took your freedom, your technology, your future. The humans have shown us that resistance is possible. Ambassador Kim Do-hyun worked with alien resistance movements, teaching them human tactics. Species that had been docile for centuries were learning to fight back against their protectors. Do not attack them directly, Do-hyun explained to a group of Karathi rebels. Use their assumptions against them. They think you are harmless, so be harmless until the moment you strike. The Karathi had been protected by the Veltar for over 300 years. They had almost forgotten how to fight. But humans taught them guerrilla warfare, sabotage, and psychological operations. Captain Shin Era led the most dangerous missions of all. Her teams captured Veltar war commanders alive, not to interrogate them, but to release them with false memories implanted by human psychologists. The memory implant is perfect, Dr. Seo Yoonji explained. When he returns to his fleet, he will remember discovering a secret human base at coordinates that will lead them into our trap. The released war commander would report his false discovery to Veltar High Command, who would send a large fleet to attack the fake base. Instead, they would find a human ambush waiting for them. Strategic coordinator Oh Sung-hwan designed these traps with mathematical precision. Every Veltar retreat must lead them into another human attack, he explained to his team. We are not just defeating them. We are hurting them. The Veltar began to realize they were not just losing battles. They were being manipulated like prey animals themselves. Every decision they made seemed to be exactly what the humans wanted them to do. Sub-Commander Jektal received reports that made no sense. Sir, our forces withdrew from the Altair system as planned, but the humans were waiting for us at our fallback position. How could they know where we would retreat? They are predicting our movements, Jektal said with growing horror. They understand how we think better than we understand how they think. The truth was even worse than he imagined. Dr. Kang Woo-sung had spent months studying Veltar psychology and behavior patterns. He could predict their decisions with almost perfect accuracy. They always retreat to defensive positions when outnumbered, he explained to the human command staff. They always send reinforcements to protect supply bases. They always promote commanders who follow standard procedures. We can use all of this against them. Within 6 months, the Veltar Dominion had lost control of 30 star systems. Their military was in chaos, their supply lines were broken, and their other prey species were rebelling. High Commander Vex Thai called an emergency session of the Council. How do we fight an enemy that thinks like this? He demanded. We retreat, Sub-Commander Jektal said. We withdraw to our core systems and rebuild our defenses. Retreat from prey animals? Another council member protested. They are not prey animals, Jektal shouted. When will you understand? We are the prey now. They are hunting us, and they are better at it than we ever were. The Veltar High Council made the decision that would seal their fate. They ordered a full retreat to their home systems, abandoning their outer territories and their protected species. Admiral Hong Sung-min watched Veltar ships fleeing across the galaxy and smiled. They are running exactly where we want them to run, he told his staff. Operation Pack Hunt is working perfectly. The humans were not trying to destroy the Veltar. They were driving them away from civilized space, herding them toward the empty regions at the galaxy's edge, like ancient human hunters driving prey animals toward a cliff. They were forcing their enemies into a position where they would have no choice but to surrender or face extinction. The galaxy was learning a new truth. The species that looked the most harmless might actually be the most dangerous. And once that species decided to hunt you, there was nowhere in the universe you could hide. 1 year after first contact, Sub-Commander Jektal sat alone in the command center of the last remaining Veltar fleet. They had retreated to the very edge of the galaxy, to systems so remote that no other species had ever bothered to explore them. Around him, the few surviving ships of what had once been the mighty Veltar Dominion drifted in the emptiness between stars. They had food for maybe 6 months. After that, they would slowly starve in the cold darkness. Sir, his communications officer said quietly, we are receiving another message from the Galactic Council. Jektal looked at the message and felt despair. It was from the Krillian Empire, one of the galaxy's other major powers. They wanted to know why the Veltar Dominion had abandoned their territories so suddenly. He activated the recorder and began to compose his response. To all species of the galaxy, he said, his voice tired and broken. This is Sub-Commander Jektal of the Veltar Dominion. I send you this warning because we failed to understand what we had found. He paused, trying to find words for something that seemed impossible to explain. We encountered a species called humans. They appeared to be prey animals, soft, weak, defenseless. We thought we were protecting them. We were wrong. On Earth, President Nam June-sik stood before the United Earth Assembly. The Great Hall was now filled not just with human representatives, but with delegates from dozens of species that had been freed from Veltar control. We did not choose to become conquerors, he said to the assembly. We simply chose to be free. But in choosing freedom, we discovered that we had a responsibility to help others who could not free themselves. Dr. Park So-jin, now director of the Interspecies Liberation Protocol, was working with former Veltar prey species to help them rebuild their civilizations. Many had forgotten how to govern themselves after generations of being protected. It will take time, she explained to a group of Karathi leaders. Your people have not made their own decisions for 300 years, but humans will help you remember how to be free. The Karathi leader, an elderly being with large eyes and delicate features, looked at her with wonder. Why do you help us? What do you gain from our freedom? Sojin smiled. We gain allies. We gain friends. We gain a galaxy where everyone can choose their own destiny, Admiral. Hong Sung-min was establishing humanity's first interstellar command center on the former Veltar, capital world of Nexus Prime. The massive city had been built to house the Dominion's ruling class, but now it served as the headquarters for the new Galactic Liberation Alliance. Fleet Admiral Lee Taemin will command our peacekeeping forces, Hong Sung-min announced to his staff. Our job is not to replace the Veltar as rulers. Our job is to make sure no one ever rules over others again. Taemin had been promoted after his success in the Liberation campaign. Now he commanded a fleet that included ships from 12 different species, all working together to maintain peace and freedom in their region of the galaxy. Ambassador Kim Do-hyun was working in the new embassy, meeting with representatives from species across the galaxy. Many had heard about humanity's victory over the Veltar and wanted to establish diplomatic relations. We offer friendship and mutual aid, he told each delegation. We do not offer protection, because true protection comes from strength, and strength comes from freedom. But even as humans celebrated their victory, they remained watchful. Dr. Kang Woo-sung had established a monitoring station that watched for threats from other parts of the galaxy. The Veltar were not the only predator species out there, he warned the human leadership. Our victory has been noticed. Other species are watching to see what these humans are capable of. His warnings proved accurate. Communications Officer Park Hae-won intercepted messages from the distant Void Hunter Collective, a species even more aggressive than the Veltar. They are discussing whether humans represent a threat or an opportunity, she reported. Some want to attack us before we become too strong. Others want to recruit us as allies. Engineer Yu Hye-jin was designing new ships for humanity's expanding fleet. These vessels looked peaceful from the outside, like exploration ships or cargo haulers. But hidden inside were weapon systems more advanced than anything the Veltar had possessed. We learned from our own history, she explained to her design team. The best warships do not look like warships. They look like whatever the enemy expects to see. Meanwhile, in the outer rim of the galaxy, Sub-Commander Jektal continued his desperate broadcast to any species that would listen. Do not underestimate them because they look harmless, he pleaded. Do not assume they are weak because they have soft skin. Do not believe they are prey because they smile when they meet you. Humans are the most dangerous predator this galaxy has ever produced. His warnings fell on deaf ears. Most species could not believe that creatures as small and seemingly fragile as humans could have defeated the mighty Veltar Dominion. The Krillian Empire decided to test human strength for themselves. They sent a battle fleet to human space expecting an easy victory. General Lim Kyung-soo met them with a smile and an invitation to negotiate. We welcome peaceful contact with the Krillian Empire, he transmitted to their fleet commander. Please, send your ambassadors aboard our vessel so we can discuss terms. The Krillian commander laughed. Like the Veltar before them, they saw only soft, weak creatures offering submission. Their ambassadors boarded human ships expecting to dictate terms of surrender. Instead, they found themselves guests at a dinner party where they were shown recordings of the Veltar War, technical specifications of human weapons, and detailed plans for what would happen to any species that threatened human freedom. We prefer peace, Captain Shin A-ra told the Krillian ambassadors over dinner. But we are very, very good at war. The Krillian fleet left human space without firing a shot. Within weeks, they had established a trade agreement and mutual defense pact with humanity. Dr. Seo Yoon-ji had established the Psychological Warfare Academy, where humans taught other species how to defend themselves against mental manipulation and propaganda. The Veltar controlled other species by making them afraid, she explained to her students. Fear makes you weak. Knowledge makes you strong. We will teach you to see through the lies that predators tell their prey. Back in the darkness at the galaxy's edge, Sub-Commander Jektal made his final broadcast. His ships were out of food, out of fuel, out of hope. This is our last transmission, he said. The Veltar Dominion is ended. We who thought we were the greatest predators in the galaxy have been hunted to extinction by creatures we mistook for prey. He looked directly into the camera, his 4 eyes filled with a terrible understanding. We made one mistake and it cost us everything. We believed that predators must look dangerous and prey must look harmless. But the humans taught us a new truth. The most dangerous predator is the one that looks like prey. The transmission ended. The Veltar ships drifted silent in the void, their occupants gone. On Earth, President Nam June-sik received reports that other predator species in distant parts of the galaxy were beginning to take notice of humanity. Some, like the Krillians, sought alliance. Others were planning attacks. Let them come, he said calmly during a cabinet meeting. We are not the same species that was surprised by the Veltar a year ago. We have learned what we truly are. Fleet Admiral Lee Taemin was already preparing for the next challenge. Human ships were exploring new regions, making contact with new species, always watching for threats. The galaxy is a dangerous place, he told his captains, but it just became a lot more dangerous for anyone who thinks they can prey on others. In the end, the Veltar had been right about one thing. The galaxy did need protection from predators. They had just been wrong about who the protectors would be. Humanity had evolved as persistence hunters, creatures that could track their prey across vast distances and never give up. Now they were hunting something far more dangerous than any animal. They were hunting tyranny itself, and unlike their extinct enemies, humans had learned the most important lesson of all. The greatest predators were not those who looked the most dangerous. They were those who could make their enemies feel safe until the moment they struck. The galaxy had new apex predators now. They wore friendly faces, offered helping hands, and spoke softly about peace and cooperation. But behind those smiles were the instincts of creatures that had climbed to the top of their food chain by being smarter, more patient and more ruthless than anything that had come before them. The age of humans had begun.